So you wanted to be a cowboy, but you became an accountant. How about Great Western Trail? Alrighty. 1, 2, 3. Hello! Welcome to Bad at Board Games.
Well, he's bad at board games.
I'm Brad Lake.
I'm Toph Ferguson.
We're bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today we're going to be talking about
Great Western Trail, the Rails to the North expansion.
Woo!
Yes. This is a new expansion that is coming to the market soon. At least we hope soon.
Yep.
It is designed by Alexander Pfister, and it is published by Egert Spiel.
It's a reprint from when it was originally produced in the earlier 2000s. But stick around, find out if this is for you. We're going to go through a lot of points, timestamps down below, and by the end of it, you will be able to decide if this is for you. So stick around for the whole thing, and you'll find out. Thank you. What do we got first? Just talking about the appeal?
Yeah, let's talk about what it looks like.
Okay, so the original board doesn't change at all. What is nice about this is that it's double layered, and it's kind of hard to see on camera, but it fits over and locks in, and you also have places to be able to put the new houses that you have. So it's a nice double layered board. Instead of being matte, it's shiny. That's where I kind of wish it was matte versus the shininess of it. But that's real nitpick. But it stays true to the original graphics of the game, which I prefer over the original game itself. I like all the updated boards and meeples and chits and everything. And I just think it looks really nice. So what else can you say? It's an expansion. It's a small expansion, skinny box. I'm pleased with it.
Yeah. It does add space to the table, so if you're hurting for table space, that could be a little bit of a challenge. But yeah, I love the fact that it fits over the old board and covers up some of the old board.
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of mechanics are we looking at, Toph, with the new expansion?
Yes, so looking at just the new expansion, it's going to add a little bit to the game. It's not adding a lot, but it is adding a little bit. And it's changing the gameplay. I think that's what's good about this. It's not just adding, it's changing. The biggest thing you'll notice up here at the top is going to be that there are a lot more spaces available for you to be able to deliver cows to. But in order to do that, you need to start making new routes. And this is more of a route builder than what you would have had with the original game itself. So not only do you have the routes that you're picking and choosing and building up on the actual game with your buildings, here, you're actually developing into the individual villages and towns, and you're actually placing out your homes that you have on this board. This is unlocking more benefits and bonuses as you go throughout the game. Not only with the end game bonuses that you're going to get, as if you're familiar with the base game itself, as you deliver cows, you get more points. This is actually going to give you instant bonuses as you go throughout the game. Some of that is also going to be hidden, and I've flipped them all up here, but as you build into certain locations, you will see these little cards that you can flip over, and this tile is going to give you an instant one-time bonus effect. So that's the big benefit and the big mechanic to what's going on here. Additional route building, additional spaces to be able to deliver your cows, and all the extra bonuses that you have. The other thing you'll notice that Brad's showing right now is that you have an additional action to be able to take, and that action is actually putting out these homes onto the board itself. And so that is going to give you another thing to be able to do as you play throughout the original base game. But it's not adding a whole lot of mechanics. It's just adding more space and more things to do.
Right. And then they also give you one more homestead, I guess you'd say, building that you would put on the main part of the board that allows you to then also put more of these houses up in the north. So there's ways for you to kind of generate your tableau where you're unlocking more to come up here and have more paths and more railways to deliver your cows.
Yeah.
So,
And it's kind of fun that some of it are not only positives, but negatives. Like some of them take away money and things like that. So,
yeah, if you want to go there, you're going to have to pay to be able to get more victory points toward the end of the line. And I find that it's a good thing and a detriment at times, depending on how you're going to play it.
Yeah, it's kind of a push your luck element added into it. Do you want to pay to hopefully be able to get a huge reward from it? So,
right, exactly. Yeah. So my story, I got this at Gen Con. This was the first game I went and got at Gen Con. The doors opened. I knew exactly where this booth was. I went beelined right there to get one of the 50 games that they probably had. And it may be a little bit more, but they didn't have a lot. And I wanted to make sure I got one because this is one of my favorite games. So we've played it a couple times now, and it's a nice addition. And if you've watched some of my channels, I'm not a big expansion person. It's not that I'm having anything against them. I just, most of the time, I don't find them to be essential. I still will say this isn't essential, but it's nice because in the base game, the way that it delivers, you have to have like, let's see, 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's how the numbering system goes to be able to deliver, and you have to get so many cows to be able to go to those spots. This new board actually gives you kind of some spaces in between that you didn't have on the main board, which is pretty cool. So you don't feel like you always, I screwed this round up and I got to go to Kansas City and lose, I think, let's see. How many points? You lose 6 victory points for going to Kansas City every time, right? You just didn't get enough cows or, could push yourself out enough. So I like that aspect of it. And, I didn't see as much of the other things. Like I was trying to play the houses. I really wanted to play the expansion. But I enjoyed that puzzle journey experience. But then I also found like, oh, this is nice because I didn't quite make it to 14, but I got 13, and I was able to unlock one of these others. You got an 8, a 16, an 11, 14, 20 all the way at the end. It gives you more victory points. So, depending on how you're playing, you can utilize these pretty well.
Yeah, I did enjoy playing this. I didn't think I'd enjoy this as much. I think I enjoyed it more than you did in terms of the actual play. When it comes to what would be considered the original game or the original gameplay, the new track takes away some of the spots that's on the initial track, so you do have to play up a little ways. One of the good benefits with that, and this is one of the things that I think I liked, especially for someone who's not going to want to play as heavy as a game as this is not an easy game. This is a heavier weight game. As you deliver your cows, the higher the value of the cow and the further that you want to deliver it, you have to actually be able to either move your train that far along or pay the difference in the cost. And that's expensive. Whereas some of these you can actually do without having to worry about playing the train game and getting that economy going to be able to afford to deliver your cows. And so I think that made it a little bit easier, and at the same time it made it a little bit more chaotic because you're having to think of so many more things to do. So yeah, I did enjoy it for that. I think it makes it a little bit easier of a play, but it adds more to it.
Yeah, and you're unlocking your tableau by placing and delivering. This really gives you some more options to place and deliver. So essentially you might be able to unlock your tableau a little bit faster, freeing you up to do more and just pushing that engine a little bit quicker. So.
Yeah. It also comes with some new cows too, which was another part of it that on our first few playthroughs of the original base game, we didn't realize how critical the cows were going to be to it. And so being able to have some new cows, some new orange cows specifically into the mix to be able to play, that's a helpful component as well to bring more replayability to the game.
Yeah, and I know some people don't like I can't remember what expansion or they call it with the orange cows, but I like that because you get a calf and then every time you deliver that cow to the top, it gets older, and so it gets more valuable. So you're the only one, if you got one of those calves, that it's going to grow. Now they added another one within that system of the base game, into the expansion, which was kind of nice. Mm-hmm. You get a few new objective cards, and we've had somebody comment like, "What do the objective cards look like?" So I'll put some B-roll in here for these. Just some nice little things. So my positives, I would say, is that it integrates well with the game. I don't think this was laborious to put out, which is a huge thing for me. And I didn't feel like it bloated the game. I feel like I could have played the game the way I wanted to. Not really done this if I hadn't wanted to, and I don't think I'd have been, the big loser for that game because of it. It just does give you nice openings. I was intentionally playing this because I wanted to see, like, does that push things? Can you do more? Is it going to be like this overpowered expansion that if you don't play it and somebody else is playing the old game, they're getting hosed? But that wasn't necessarily the case. So it's nice to see that it's not a requirement. It is this benefit based on what's coming out and how you're doing it. So that's my big positive with it. Easy to set up, wasn't that complicated to add, and then just the way it integrated with the actual gameplay.
Yeah.
How about your positive?
Well, I think I kind of alluded to it already, but I think it brings gameplay difficulty down a little bit. That not that it's going to make the game overall easier to play necessarily, but it might help, especially some newer players, to not have to worry about playing so many things all at one time, like playing the train game to move your train up to be able to deliver things as far as quickly to be able to get the points and the money needed throughout the game. So that is one of the big benefits. I do like having the additional bonuses that you have up here. I think that helps to build your engine a little bit more. Some of it's giving you money, some of it's giving you blue ribbons, some of it's giving you, these different abilities that's helping you be able to play the game. And that, again, it's helping not necessarily add complexity so much, but ways that you can better play the base game itself. Now, I will say, I think I'm getting kind of into some of the negatives, it took away a lot of the not the ability, but the desire that we had to be able to develop out our trains into new stations. And I think that's one thing that I would consider to be on the negative side of the expansion itself. Overall, I think it's positive, but I think that can be one of the things. I was nervous playing this, that Brad was very heavily going into playing the expansion to see what the expansion was going to do. I was playing a little bit, and all of a sudden Brad had unlocked so many of his houses and had so much going up here, and I had almost none of it. And I thought that was going to take me so far behind it I'd never catch up, and it didn't. And that's, like you had said, that's one of the things you like about it. It doesn't affect this so much that you can still play that game. But I was able to start catching back up pretty quickly with it too. So
you can't just focus on this and expect like you're gonna pull away and win the game. I ended up losing that game, and there were a few different things, but you have to still play Great Western Trail, the base game.
Yes,
like play that and then look at the expansion as like, oh, this allows me to do a few extra things while I'm concentrating on the base game itself, which I think that's the win of the game.
Yeah. So I went into my negatives. What negatives do you have?
So my negatives, I love this game so much. It's a big hype kind of thing. I wanted this to be like, I was like, I wanted to come and say like, this is essential. You got to have this, and you're going to love, so I think just that negative of like, I'm still back to, this is not essential for me. And I say that tongue in cheek because I'm not sure I'm going to play it without the expansion now. Now that I have it, Toph likes it. I want people to enjoy the game, so I'm going to make the game and curate the games in a way that's going to be fun for everybody. Versus being like, oh, it's just for me. So, still going to play the base game, and at least 50% of the time, I'm going to be pulling this out as well. Looking forward to Argentina to see how they play with that with farms and stuff. I hear. Yeah. So curious to see if I like that. But so I don't know if it's a negative. I don't have a lot of downsides to this. Like I said, if it, I was reading some of the rules. The rules weren't that hard to understand. It's a small pamphlet, so I don't have that many negatives with it. I still would say it's not essential. Mm-hmm. So, but that's my point. Your negatives?
The only other negative that I have is just box organization. You're adding more into a game that already started with not a very good box organization system, mm-hmm. and so you really do need a third party or your own home one to be able to do. It does add time in the setup. Not a lot of time, but it does add a little bit of time. And that's the annoying part of putting all the homes onto this expansion board that's next to your Tableau. Mm-hmm. And then obviously if you're adding in the new cows, you're adding into the new objectives, things like that. That's going to take some time to help set up. So you, I think, need a little bit more of a box organizer to be able to pull it all out and play at one time. I am an expansion person. I love having expansions played into games, but I don't like having expansions that don't fit into the base game box because that's annoying to have to open up 3 different boxes just to play one game. So that's one of my negatives. Another one of my negatives. Another one is that for the cost of it, and let's be honest, this is just, I mean, it's a great game. It's a fantastic game. The component quality could be much better. These homes, I mean, this one just falls over whenever you put it down. No, they're not at all. They're not at all. I mean, one of them is like just cut so much that it just falls over as you like try to set it up. So sometimes you might end up with a house on its side, and we'll just call that an abstract house. So I think that's one of the negatives as well, is that the quality could have been better with the game. But they are wooden meeples. They are wooden, well, not meeples, but wooden pieces that you're playing. And alternate to that, the dual layer boards, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But these components could be better. So
what's the weight BGG? So you looked up, like, what does BGG say? What do you think it is really?
So the base game, second edition, Great Western Trail, is rated on BGG at 3.72. This expansion, second edition, Rails to the North, is not yet rated on BGG. But the first edition of Rails to the North is, and that's rated at a 3.78. So it's a little bit higher weight than just the base game itself, which you've been hearing me say that I think this makes it a little bit easier to be able to bring especially new people to it. But with that said, it does add more to the game. So it does add more going on. Now, also, I do have to say, I'm looking at second edition base game and first edition expansion to find that rating because it's not yet out, easily accessible to everybody. We don't have an accurate weight rating, and they did make some changes to the expansion in the second edition. So that, take that with a grain of salt. I think it's close to what's accurate. The base game itself is really where the weight rating is coming. This doesn't add more difficulty than the game, but I think it does change the weight value of the game. I just think it goes down a little bit.
Right.
I think it goes from a 2.72, which I think is, or a 3.72, which I think is accurate for this game, and brings it down almost to like a 3.6, 3.65. Right. So that's my opinion on the weight rating.
Cool. So now we'll get to our value rating. I'm petting my dog down here. If you notice, I'm like doing one of these things to keep him quiet. But the value, I think I paid $40 for this. And for what it is, I would say it's a little expensive. I mean, it's, you're not getting that much. Now, it's nice gameplay. So they're charging you based on its Great Western Trail. You want the expansion, things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a hit on the value. Now, I paid full price for this. I'm hoping that once it hits retail, you're probably going to get this less than $40. So, and if you're seeing it for sale right now, it's usually on the used market or, and people are price gouging. So I would wait until it actually hits retail. And that might be a month or two because sometimes these games that, you get a few at Gen Con and they're still shipping it from wherever mass market, right? So last year, I think it was Hadrian's Wall. I really wanted really bad. And that didn't show up until November, December. So, just kind of be aware of that. And the same with Gollum. Gollum was like, I didn't think that showed up until the spring for Asmo Day. I was like, really wanted that
for a long time.
Yeah, I've been wanting that for a long time. So I'm not 100% sure when this is going to make it to market. And this, so paying and there's a long-winded explanation for get to it, Brad. $40 for this expansion. I would say it's like 2.5 to a 3.
Oh wow!
So I think it's a lot for the expansion for the components that are in there. Those components didn't take a lot to make, so they're hitting you pretty good. Now, if this is at $30, you're going to be at a 4, 3.5 to a 4. But right now at $40 or $45 or anything on the secondhand market, you can hold off. You'll be okay. It's not you're not missing out. Don't worry about the FOMO and things. I love the game. If it's one of your top games, go for it. But if you like Great Western Trail and are just waiting, you can wait. It'll be all right.
Yeah. Or if your option is between Great Western Trail or Great Western Trail in the expansion,
get the base. Yeah. Base game is cheaper than I've ever seen it, so it's definitely worth the value.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
I mean, this is your favorite game of all time.
Oh yeah,
and it's definitely easily on my top 10, if not close to top 5. Yeah. It's on my top 10.
Yeah. It's a good game. So what is your rating? So we'll rate the expansion. I rate the main game very high, but just the expansion, if you're going to rate the expansion.
So just the expansion, I'm going to give it... I'm teetering.
Right.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it an 8 because I do really enjoy playing it with the expansion because of the change. And maybe that's the newness of it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's adding something into it.
But you liked it more. You liked the game more with the expansion.
Well,
I felt like that's what you
did, but I rated the base game a 9.
Oh, yeah.
And so is this critical to me saying I want to play Great Western Trail and I need to pull this out?
Right.
No. This I want to play. And I am always going to want to play this.
Right.
I will always want to play it with this, but it's not critical to that. So that's where I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because it's not as good as the base game, but it's fantastic. Yeah. I mean, it adds. So,
and I'm gonna say it's a 7.5. So it and like I said, that could have been the FOMO. You want this amazing add-on and things to happen. Still not essential, but I could see not playing the game without it. Without a problem. I still would want to play the game. It's not going to be like, I got to play the expansion and, I got to drag it out. And there's no negatives, in my opinion, to playing the expansion. So take that for what you will. Anything else to say? Talk about? Chit chat? You guys bored? Yeah. You're like, shut up. Go away.
I think, I don't know if I would want to play this expansion if I'm playing the game solo.
Probably not. I wouldn't want the complexity. I don't think the autonomous, but...
Yeah, I don't
think that would be something I'd want to add to it.
Yeah, I don't think it would be good for that, but...
Yeah.
But other than that, now I want to play Great Western Trail.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you for sticking with us. If you like this, please subscribe. We're almost 1,500. I'm, itching to get, 11 more subscribers, so, if you can, click that little button down below.
Yeah. Share the video too if you've got friends or people in your gaming group that's interested in some of this information. If you are a group that plays Great Western Trail and you have not yet seen this expansion, share this video with them. We'd love to be able to get more people interested in what is out there for some of the games that we absolutely love to play. So.
Absolutely. So no matter how you play games, if you're playing it solo, with family, or friends,
enjoy whatever games you are bringing to the table.
Have a great night.
Bye. Your dog and I are good friends now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I'm both.